joined today from the Department of Ag, Trade, Consumer Protection. It's my friend Michael, and he's here to celebrate Consumer Protection Week.
Indeed I am.
It's a week.
It is a whole week.
First the top 10, then this. Like, it's the best time of year.
Back to back.
I said, do you guys have like a big party? And you're like, no. Like, but this is the time of year. But on the flip side of this, it's still the exciting because, it's like all your work coming together and then you're off and running for next year. Like, I feel like it's ties into that.
We are, and it's also an opportunity to kind of showcase what we do and how we can help and all the things that we do throughout that year that lead to this week in the top 10.
I love it. And I love talking consumer protection, obviously. You keep coming back here, so we keep needing to talk about it. But as we look into this year and promoting it, you guys are doing some interesting things. I was reading through the press release, not related to the stuff that we talk about, but you got some new stuff out there, too, to help highlight and get people kind of interested in consumer protection.
We do. And actually, as of today, this morning, we launched our new website. We upgraded our website to make it more intuitive for the user. We have so many resources and so many fact sheets and guides and things to help everyone. So we did an analysis and figured out how can we make those a little bit more easily accessible. And then we also spread that out and made all of our fact sheets and guides available to our Spanish speakers and readers. So we have over 150 new resources for the Spanish-speaking consumers, and we're really excited about how that's going to hopefully increase the availability of those and then keep them protected.
Yeah, and we've talked about it so much on the show of how many resources you have out there. I mean, we just highlight the surface of all the great stuff that are there. So I haven't checked it out yet, so I'm excited to go and see it. But I'm sure it's full of a lot of good stuff.
Looks different.
It looks different.
It does.
All right, as far as National Consumer Protection Week, what's DATCP looking at this year as far as themes of getting you to be on the lookout for?
Well, we want to take this time to tell everyone to just kind of remind the little things you can do to protect yourself. For instance, are you having conversations with businesses? Are you getting into a business arrangement and you're not writing everything down? Sometimes we get so dependent on the apps and the phone and thinking, well, I'll have it tracked here or there, and then all of a sudden you lose your phone. Or it gets reset and everything's gone. And you had some really important details, maybe in those text messages or those emails back and forth. And so we say, take a minute, recognize what maybe should be documented, what should you be writing down, what should you be keeping. And kind of the catchphrase that we remind everyone is DATCP's here to back you up. But the consumer, you're the first line of defense. You're the one who needs to make sure that you're aware because you're the one that's engaged when it happens, when it starts, when it begins. And so that's the best time to make sure you don't fall victim to a scam.
But how do you change the habits? How do you change some of those habits or change your mindset that this could actually happen to me? Because I think to me, when I reflect on this week, I'm like, okay, we hear about all these things all the time, but what is the personal message that's really going to get someone to like bite and before it's too late?
I think sometimes it's an unfortunate reality where we don't think that it's ever going to happen to us until it does. Or it really takes knowing somebody that it happened to. But for us, we try and do these little segments and we talk about sometimes individual victims. This morning I was talking to one of our two outreach specialists who participated in our program to do exactly what we're doing here and get out into the community and make them aware. And one of the attendees said to the speaker, and she said, I wish I would have been here 2 months ago. And he said, well, why is that? And she said, because I fell for a scam and I lost $375,000. And I'm leaving here to go to court and hoping that the judge will let me stay in my house. And she was 82 years old. And so there's very limited opportunity to try and recoup that $375,000. Had she maybe heard the presentation or known what some of those red flags were, I would have potentially stopped. So, it's hearing stories like that and recognizing that it's not just people who are uneducated or who have never heard about this. Mm-hmm. Everyone is falling for scams. CEOs, doctors, these very, very well acquainted, even with the industries that they're in and the things that we should know about. Some of our peers, throughout the nation who work in this particular industry, or maybe you and I talk about this once a month, but they're getting so good that you fall for it. And so I think it's trying to dispel that belief that it'll never happen to me. Because when it does, it can be catastrophic.
And to stay up on it, besides watching these wonderful segments with Michael and I, or Michelle, or anybody from your staff, you're doing some things on top of just the website relaunch, but also consumer protection newsletter, which I am fascinated to see what's going to be in there.
We are kicking off a newsletter this month. It's called Wisconsin Consumer News. And what we're going to do is we're kind of recap some of the things that we talk about, and then also include some alerts that may have come out, things that we're seeing, and also provide those resources and tools that consumers might want to key in on. As we go throughout the year, there's different types of scams that we see start to increase in volume. And then we'll see them. So we'll try and highlight that and say, hey, you're going to start seeing an uptick of this particular thing. Here's a fact sheet. Here's a resource guide. Here's where you can find it. And so we make it easy for that consumer to not have to filter through the whole library to look what's relevant. We kind of keep them up, kind of edgy. It should be a lot of fun.
I think it answers the question I asked you before, of how to, again, break those barriers down. I think it's being educated and knowing that, you don't just come here every time just because you're like, well, we got to push this or that. It's happening. It is happening every second, every part of the day. Something's, or a new trick, trade, whatever. And you have to protect yourself in any way possible.
You really do. And as we watched, even the most basic, simple scams continue to be the most successful. The Federal Trade Commission just released their data for 2023, and it showed that over $10 billion was lost just to imposter scams and identity theft. $10 billion, that's a lot. And we continue to watch that increase each year by almost $1 to $1.5 billion. So the scams aren't going away. And the only way that we're going to stop them and beat them is through awareness and not being a victim. Because once you catch on to it and they realize that this isn't going to work, and they're no longer having that pool of victims, well, then that's the only way we put them out of business.
What about reporting? I know, we've said it, but is reporting going to help save the day at the end of the day? My one person going to be able to help you guys in setting that or catching that person or whatever?
I have two responses for that. My first is if we can't help you if we don't know that it took place. Like if you don't tell us and you don't file a complaint, there's no way for us to proactively realize that you were victimized, you had an issue. So please report those to us, give us a chance to help you out and fix it. The second is, even if you just want to let us know what happened, just to tell us about the phone call that you got. You said, this is kind of different, this is unique. Those one phone call, that can start an entire chain of events that leads to us identifying those may be a bigger pool of people who really were victimized. And then we can dig a little deeper and find out who's behind it, and then dig a little deeper, and then hold them accountable, and then hopefully stop the act from continuing, and in an ideal world, get some money back, or however they were victimized, get some restitution for those people who were harmed. Absolutely.
And again, it gets you guys out here. When you come out and visit us, then we might be talking about a new, something that has been discovered, and hopefully we can make even more awareness, to that and get people to get on board. I think, Consumer Protection Week as a whole is a great week to kind of get yourself thinking. I think of the note, of filing a complaint or checking your guys' website out, or the do not call list, and all of those things. But at the end of the day, trying to change that perspective and just stop and think for a second, take time to educate yourself, and you guys have it there at the website and beyond.
What we do, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because Consumer Protection Week is also an opportunity for us to showcase the wide range of things that we provide and help out with. So, we talked about our new website, and we talked about the newsletter coming on. We talked about our Spanish resources. But then there's also other things that we do, like our consumer guide provides a really nice, focused summary of everything that you should be looking out for and what you can do. Maybe not everyone has the time to read 150 different fact sheets, right? But also we want to highlight, like our landlord-tenant guide. As you talked about in our top 10, landlord-tenant complaints were the #1 complaint for us last year. And so our landlord-tenant guide provides some really great tips and tools, both for landlords and tenants, to say, how can we make sure we have a successful relationship? And then we also like to pitch our identity theft resources to help you if you're a victim, which can take a year, 2 years to recover from. And we have those contacts and those relationships to help speed that up, get that money back into the account, get that credit fixed. And then the one I always like to pitch, and I really thank you for allowing us to do it, is our outreach efforts. Yeah. Is just getting out the fact that DATCP exists, all these things that we can help out with, what we can do, and it's a free resource. So if there's an organization or a group out there that would like to host us, just give us a call. We'll come out and we'll help share the information.
Trust me, they're lovable people. They're very nice. I mean, we're
very generous.
No, it is good. And, I appreciate all the work, and, hopefully people take time to check out the great resources. I don't just say it because I'm saying it. I'm here to promote. I've seriously been there. It's a great resource, great spot, and I was taking a look as you were telling me some of this info. It's looking pretty sharp.
Thank you. A lot of work going into that.
All right. If people want to get signed up for the newsletter, find out what's going on, submit a complaint, where can they do that?
All of this can be done at datcp.wi.gov. You'll find links and hopefully easily access to all those things we talked about today. And if you want, you can't find it, feel free to give us a call at 1-800-422-7128, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, part of, I think, the outreach here is you taking that first step and checking out some of these resources and staying educated, because it's forever changing, and if you don't stay up on it, I don't know how, eventually it's going to catch you. I think that's kind of the way I think of it anyway. So,
like we said, they're the first line of defense, so keep yourself educated and be better prepared.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for your time. Happy Consumer Protection Week. We'll see you next year at the party.
Thanks, Jeremy.